So right now we have one that the client, it was your team, they were relocating, and they had never done this before, and I think their hesitation was, hey, we want to shop around lenders. And ultimately we met with them, and one of the things that I said was, hey, if you get pre-approved, you're loaded in a barrel, you can make an offer and you can close more quickly. And one of the things, when you're fully pre-approved, you're already underwritten. You are literally sitting in a closing department with a committed amount of funds. The only thing to get your loan in the official closing department is a property address and an appraisal and proper title work. So the underwriting part is done. So there is a big difference out there in the marketplace where people say, oh, I'm pre-qualified or I'm pre-approved. And I say, well, did you send all this stuff? Did you sign something? Did they send it to an underwriter? And did you get some letter back? Did this take a couple of days, not 15 minutes? Because when they say, oh, yeah, they told me that day, they're not approved. It's a local, they've hit a button, they've looked at credit. So we got these clients approved.
What's the difference between a pre-qual and
a pre-qualification is a lender pulls credit, a pre-approval.
But a lot of these letters still
say pre-approval. Yeah, and they're garbage. Like we've learned legally, you can't say approval unless a true underwriter's looked at it. That's the way our bank looks at it. So anyways, they find a place in East. It was a competitive bid. We ended up, your team and myself, we knew the listing agent, which was an advantage. You guys went in with your best offer, the agent representing the client. On your team, we called, there was some back and forth. We beat out a cash offer, which is unheard of in East. We still had an appraisal contingency, which a lot of times if you beat out a cash offer,
they usually would take off.
They would take away the appraisal, which lets your buyer be a little more exposed. Right. The house did appraise, and we're closing shortly. Literally the loan has been in the closing department since last Friday, and the loan is closing not at the end of this week; it's the end of next week. So it's kind of one of those things where we had so much time that we got it done. So it's crazy. Like the only thing they're doing is getting their homeowner's insurance policy. It's been pretty much stress free. And
so
I think
what do you think on that? What do you think the 2 or 3 things between the agent, listing agent, buyer's agent, lender, what things came together fruition-wise on that deal to make it all
So these are like, this is what I say. There is a huge difference. It's almost like this. When you're a buyer out there in the marketplace and you're like, hey, what's the difference between this agent and this agent, or this agent and lender versus this agent and lender? The biggest thing to me is the fact that when you're a buyer, you're competing against other buyers, and the exchange of information amongst the people is like, it's almost like, think about like playing poker. Mm-hmm. And if you know poker, you're like, God, I'm going up against Phil Hellmuth and like these monsters that know how to win. A lot of it is understanding human nature, having experience, and then going, the realtor and the lender that I'm working with communicate together, understanding our goals, and then more so than the typical stuff you might see online of just writing, oh, we love your home, we really want it. Like that doesn't do it for me. The phone call we make to the listing agent, I ask listing agents if they get these calls, they say no. I find the way that your team negotiates the deals and talks to the listing agent is different. And in the end, that's the magic ingredients to get houses versus if you're with a agent lender duo that you've been on 4 or 5 different, excursions of offers and getting denied, and you're almost like done with house hunting. Because I find that people, once they lose out on 2 or 3, they start to get discouraged, and then they just accept that they got to go. They know that if it's a really nice house, they're almost afraid to make an offer.
Yeah, we've worked with several people, especially last year. We worked with several buyers that had worked with 2 or 3 different agents, lost out on multiple offer situations. Mm-hmm. And within a week or 2, we found them. The property wrote the offer, negotiated the offer, bound to the contract. 30 days later, they're closing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And a big piece of it is having a system and a process. The other big piece is, I don't think home buyers realize how important it is to have the team. Mm-hmm. Like your team of people that ultimately make the deal happen and make it seamless. It's setting expectations. It's over communicating the important stuff. It's the internal communication, external.
Right.
It's like all these things, but there's a lot of buyers that go out and look for, here's my agent. We've interviewed him.
Yeah, we're our loans at USAA.
And then I'm separately, instead of going to my realtor and seeing what relationship he has with a lender, I'm going to my bank at, Wells Fargo or Bank of America.
You know what's funny? That this reminds me. So this was I'm dating myself. This was in the late 90s. I had a mentor in the mortgage business.
I was in high school, by the way.
Yeah, you were like in third grade. So it was like his best realtor. And this guy was super sharp. He's still in business up in D.C. And so they would always say, assemble the team. And then when they would describe the realtor said it best. He said, as a realtor, I'm the pilot of the plane, okay? And as the pilot of the plane, I can take the plane down, I can swerve it around, I can avoid turbulence, I can do all these things. Well, if you think about flying, if it was just a pilot and there was nothing else, there was no air traffic control, there were no flight attendants, and then the plane itself didn't have a tail or wings. So he said, hey, the client is in the hull of the plane. And then, my lender is literally at times the tail, because if a plane didn't have a tail, it would crash. And sometimes they're my wing. My title company could be the left wing on one deal, my home inspector, and all of this. And he goes, so a good realtor knows that this, if the home buying experience is like a plane ride, there could be turbulence. It could be avoidable. It's based on skill. It's based on mechanics. And I'm always, I think it's funny you're saying this, because I know when a deal lines up with your team and with title and with homeowners and like all of these working parts that we just can like little Legos, it just works. And